help you with that.
Terrific. Thanks, Lester.
Sure.
I'm taking her out for a run!
Thank you for coming, Mr. Jones.
Well, I'll tell you, Ms. Revere, if time were looking for a place to stand still, this is the place.
Would you care for some tea?
No, thank you. I haven't been in this room for 10 years, and I would say that not one thing has been moved.
Well, I didn't think it was within my province to change anything.
Jenny must have been 14. You took on quite a job when you stayed on to raise her when her mother and father died.
Well, the Sutherlands were very wealthy, Mr. Jones. They left me well provided for. Even if I have to say so myself, I was the only real mother Jenny ever had. With her parents running all over the world.
Well, I didn't know them that well. I just worked on that one case for Mr. Sutherland.
Well, they were very cold people, Mr. Jones. Showing love for Jenny just wasn't in their nature. They were so strict with her.
Still, kids are like puppy dogs. They seem to love you regardless.
I suppose so. But it seems that everything that child ever cared for was taken away from her. First her parents, that terrible avalanche in the Alps.
And now this young man who was killed in the boating accident. Was Jenny in love with him?
Yes, Greg Larkin. He was a nice boy, what I saw of him.
What bothers you about the accident, Miss Revere?
Because it's happened again and again.
What has happened?
Well, it seems that any man who becomes interested in Jenny meets with some sort of accident.
How many have there been?
5 years ago, Doug Wingate, the local football hero, thrown from a horse, crippled for life.
Was he in love with Jenny?
Oh, yes. And then 3 years ago, she was dating a boy, John Ferris, who accidentally drove his car off a cliff going home from here. Now, poor Greg Larkin.
Reading between the lines of that worried look of yours, it seems to me that you think that these accidents were not all that accidental.
Mr. Jones, I'm sick with worry. I don't know what to think. I mean, what if someone...
What if someone wanted Jenny for himself so badly, he eliminated the competition?
Yes. You see, I've got to be sure. If some mad fool is about, who knows where he'll stop?
I'm only concerned about you, Jenny, that's all.
Stan, you've been concerned about me ever since you almost had to flunk me in History 1. And then I had to call you Mr. Porter.
I would hope now that we are colleagues, that you would consider my feelings about you more genuine.
I do, Stan.
Well, then listen to me, for your own good. Go away for a few weeks. Take a sabbatical.
No, I can't. Working's the only thing that's holding me together right now.
Excuse me. Taking your hair out of pigtails doesn't fool me a bit, young lady. You are Jenny Sutherland.
No, wait a minute. Don't tell me. You're,
Time's up. Barnaby Jones.
Oh, of course. Your wavy gray hair. I remember I always wished my father had wavy gray hair.
I'll tell you, when all that a pretty young girl can remember about you is that you got wavy gray hair, you better hang up the gloves.
Mr. Jones, Stan Porter.
How do you do?
Are you a teacher, Mr. Jones?
No, I'm more of a learner.
Mr. Jones is a private investigator.
Oh. I'll call you later tonight, Jenny, just to see how you are.
Stan.
Hey, Mr. Jones.
What brings you to Santa Carla? Business or pleasure?
Business, but it'll be a pleasure if it turns out to be a false alarm. Mrs. Revere sent for me.
Cassie? Oh, she shouldn't have done that. I mean, she
She's
didn't...
worried about you, Jenny.
Great. The harder I try to blend into the scenery, the more I become a tourist attraction.
Yeah, I suppose it is hard for the prettiest and richest girl in a town this size to be just one of the trees. Mrs. Revere probably figured that I could find out something about the most recent accident that happened to one of your young friends.
Yeah, well, I know what she thinks. She thinks some big ogre's following me around trying to cast a deadly spell on whoever shows an interest in me.
Ogres are my business. All sizes.
Hey, you, that's my car!
Well, he's too young to shave, old enough to spell. Maybe before I make any more big deductions like that, you and I ought to find a quiet place and have a little talk.
Milk for the young man, and your usual, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the usual? Maybe I should have had that.
Only if you promise not to laugh.
No secrets. That's our deal.
A scoop of vanilla ice cream drowned in hot chocolate.
Nothing very usual about that. Jenny, on the way over here, you said that you never saw Doug Wingate again after the horseback riding accident.
No, only in a nightmare now and then. I remember climbing down the mountain to where he'd fallen. I thought he was dead. And his eyes opened. It was scary. I don't think I've ever gotten that completely out of my mind.
Ms. Revere said that the second young man, what was his name?
John Ferris. He was a senior up at State. I was in my junior year up at Pacific Western.
You went away for a while to a clinic for a rest.
Yeah, that was Cassie's idea. All I could do was cry all the time. I didn't make any sound at all. I needed the rest. So now I've got something to keep myself occupied.
You like teaching?
Yeah, very much. I don't think I can tell you very much about Greg's accident in the boat. It's still very vivid to me. It's sort of unbelievable.
This doesn't seem to be exactly the place to blend into the scenery. Wanna go? You say you haven't seen Doug Wingate since the accident. Didn't he ever write to you and tell you how he was getting along?
No. I wrote to him in Boston once, though, at the hospital. He never answered. I heard that he could never walk again.
Well, you go ahead. You must have a lot of papers to correct, teacher. I'll try to correct a lot of mistaken impressions around here.
Thank you.
Got right about there. Top speed and bluey.
Any idea how this may have happened, Sheriff?
Just sort of an educated speculation. Apparently something went wrong with the carburetor. Ran all right at normal speed, but when young Larkin opened it up, a jet stuck. Overflowed gas, caught fire on the hot engine. That boat became one fast-moving Molotov cocktail.
Good theory. Where'd you get it?
Lester Watkins. He runs a garage down the road toward town. Greg Larkin always worked on his boat down there, mainly because Lester has all the tools and he did all the work.
There's a sample of his work. I'd get my plugs changed elsewhere.
Lester knows what he's doing all right. He said he told Greg Larkin to get that carburetor replaced. You're welcome to take a look at the reports, Mr. Jones. Of course, I don't know exactly what you're looking for.
You know anything about Jinx's, Sheriff?
I heard that talk too. Pay no attention to it.
And you think all of these accidents that have been happening around Jenny Sutherland are just coincidence in your book?
Well, not one scrap of evidence says any different.
And Doug Wingate's horseback riding accident? That wasn't a police matter?
Who am I going to question? The horse?
What about the young man that drove his car over the cliff?
Look, Mr. Jones, I don't want to talk ill about the dead, but when young Mr. Clean-Cut John Ferris drove his car off a deep canyon road, well, we found a broken quart liquor bottle in the wreckage.
Ms. Revere said John Ferris didn't drink much.
We shouldn't have bought it by the quart. Look, I feel bad about Jenny Sutherland, too. I've known her since she could hardly reach the pedals of her bike. Well, when you got looks and money, people are going to talk about you, no matter what.
You don't suppose Jenny's good looks and fat bank account might have been a fatal attraction for somebody over the years?
You got any big city ideas? We got us a killer stalking the streets of little old Santa Carla, Mr. Jones. I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed. Granted, our Jenny's going to be a very rich lady someday.
What do you mean by someday?
Well, you'll have to talk to their family lawyer about that.
See, that used to be Cal Medford.
Still is.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Sheriff. I appreciate it.
Okay, Jenny, cut it.
Better let me give it a once-over. Smooth it out. I want to check your brakes, too. You got a squeal there.
I didn't hear anything, Lester.
That's because you got pretty ears. You don't hear what I hear.
Well, maybe I'll bring it in later in the week. I really want to go home now.
Well, I'll drive you. You give me a chance to road test it. I'll bring it back to you tonight.
Okay, if you really think it needs it.
Oh, Buck, I'm going to drive her home and bring the car back.
Okay, Lester, but I gotta be out of here by 5.
I won't be going long.
It's really nice of you, Lester, going to all this trouble.
I'd do anything for you, Jenny. Besides, we don't want to have happen to your car what happened to Greg Larkin's boat, do we?
Hi.
you? Yeah, fill it up with soup.
Right. Hey, you got any soft drinks? Yeah, there's a machine inside there. All right, can I help you with that?
No, I can manage.
There she is. 10 miles. Oh, that is great for the circulation and the breath.
Yeah, but it seems to me you don't get to see much of the scenery on one of those things.
This is all the scenery I'm interested in, Mr. Jones. I've come from a 37 to a 34.
Yeah, what the years and good food giveth, the bicycle taketh away.
Age is a state of mind, Mr. Jones.
Yeah. Well, this is the state of California, and I guess I just naturally assumed that Jenny would get her full inheritance at the age of 21.
No, 30. Those were the terms of her parents' will. Of course, Jenny wants for nothing right now, but in 6 years, as you put it, she'll be a very wealthy woman.
Yeah, a very pretty one. How much would you say that her fortune would amount to in right round numbers?
Her real wealth in property and securities today is appraised at $3.2 million.
Miss Revere seems to feel that that amount of money wrapped up around a pretty package like Jenny might have a fatal attraction for someone.
Cassie Revere is an old fool. She still treats Jenny like she's a teenager. Actually, Jenny is a very mature woman. She's certainly too mature for those young Galaheads who are always hanging around her. No experience, no judgment.
And sort of reckless, too.
What do you mean?
Well, it hasn't been exactly healthy the last few years for any young fella who is fond of Jenny.
Oh, nonsense. Just some overage show-offs who are the victims of their own damn foolishness, that's all.
I take it you don't believe in jinxes either.
Absolutely not. And Cassie Revere's is making everything worse. I've got to tell you, Mr. Jones, I don't approve of this raking over of old coals just to appease the devious suspicions of this old maid.
I suppose what Jenny needs is a mature kind of man that she can lean on. Someone with experience and judgment that she can depend on the rest of her life.
Exactly.
You wouldn't be sort of staying in shape for that job, would you, Mr. Mitford?
I am not at all ashamed of my affection for Jenny, Mr. Jones. And it's not at all uncommon for a young woman of her circumstances to find exactly what she needs in an older man.
Hello. I was just in the neighborhood. Thought I'd return these books and see if Jenny would like to go out for dinner.
Well, I'll take them, Mr. Porter. Our dinner's already in the oven, thank you.
Perhaps she'd like to take a walk later. I mean, I just think it would be therapeutic for Jenny to be with friends at a time like this.
Well, at a time like this, Mr. Porter, I think I'm quite capable of providing any after-school friendship Jenny may need. Thank you for returning the books. I'll tell her you were here. Mr. Porter from the school.
Well, why didn't you invite him in?
Oh, I can never tell what he's thinking behind those thick lenses of his.
Well, Cassie, you should have invited him in.
Listen, Jenny, dear, you mustn't encourage someone like that. Not even in the slightest.
Encourage?
Yes, he's just not right for you. He's just a school teacher.
Well, so am I.
But you're also a very wealthy girl, remember that. And you're to be very cautious about people who pretend affection for you. Darling, you look tired. Try and get some rest while I get dinner, hmm?
Just a minute, I'll be right out. Hear anybody drive up? There. That ought to do it. I'll be out.
You say Lester was dead when you got here. What time was that, Mr. Jones?
About a half hour ago.
And no one else in the vicinity at all?
Not a soul.
What time did you leave, Buck?
5 on the dot. Lester was still working on Jenny's car when I left.
I don't need 3 guesses, but to tell me what you're thinking of, Mr. Jones.
I think we can scratch coincidence as an explanation of what's been going on here, Sheriff. Bananas and grapes come in bunches, but not coincidences.
Buck, did you ever have any trouble with this Jack?
No, never. No problem.
4 young men who all kind of like Jenny Sutherland. Now they're all either dead or missing.
Lester? He may have worked on her car, but no way. Lester blushed at hardware store calendars.
Come here a minute. I don't know how Lester felt about hardware store calendars, but I got a hunch how he felt about Jenny.
Well, I'll be.
Sheriff, somebody's trying to raise you on your car radio.
Look, do you have any equipment in here that would make a track like that?
No, I'll tell you, that could be a bike, though. You know, the kids bring them in sometimes.
I don't think so. It's too regular, and it kind of goes along in pairs.
Hey, that must be the guy. Sure, the guy in the wheelchair.
Somebody come in here in a wheelchair?
Came in this afternoon. He asked for gas. He wanted to know, where the cold drinks were as he come inside. I tell you, that guy moved that thing in and out of the car like it was nothing.
Did you ever know Doug Wingate?
Wingate? No, but I only lived around here about a year now.
Mind if I use your phone?
Sure, go ahead. There's one over there on the bench.
Thank you. Hello, operator. I want to make a collect call to Los Angeles.
Barnaby Jones' office. May I help you?
I have a collect call from Mr. Barnaby Jones in Santa Carla. Will you accept charges?
Yes, operator. I'd be more than happy to accept the charges.
Hello, Betty. I want you to do some long-distance checking for me.
Sure enough. Just name the direction.
East. You start with the Boston Memorial Hospital. About 5 years ago, they treated a Douglas Wingate for injuries received in a horseback riding accident.
Righto.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely impossible. Douglas Wingate hasn't been seen or heard from in years.
I'd like to talk to Jenny.
Well, I'd rather you didn't, Mr. Jones, not tonight.
Lester Watkins is dead. I'd rather Jenny found out about it from a friend.
I'm afraid it's too late for that. The kind friend has already called from the village. Couldn't wait to offer a few comforting words to Jenny.
How did she take it?
She's beside herself, poor darling. Had to call the doctor to give her some sedative pills to quiet her down. She's sleeping now.
Mrs. Revere, are you absolutely certain that you didn't hear someone in town mention that they might have seen Doug Wingate?
I wouldn't be likely to forget. Why?
Because I have a very strong feeling that Mr. Douglas Wingate may not be too far away from here right now. I think that it'd be a good idea to let Jenny rest for a few days.
I've already called the school.
Just let her sleep till the pills wear off. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Jones.
Betty, I've been trying to call you since breakfast.
Well, I guess I was trying to reach you during breakfast. It was just an hour's drive, and I figured I'd better get the information to you before you went gallivanting off someplace.
You got the right number from back east?
I traced Douglas Wingate through 4 states. It seems that he had a series of operations at that Boston hospital.
None of which turned out to be successful, I understand.
Right. He was released to a rehabilitation center just outside of Boston. Now, their records show that he entered college in Pennsylvania. I thought that was a dead end until I reached the alumni director, who was working late. Douglas Wingate's class bulletin was mailed to upstate New York up until 3 years ago.
That's only 3 states. You just love doing this to me, don't you?
For the past 3 years, Doug Wingate has been getting his mail at 5 Oaks, not 20 miles from right here.
Congratulations, Mrs. Jones. You have just won yourself a trip to 5 Oaks, California. Get in. Nice throwing. Doug Wingate, isn't it?
That's right.
If you are Doug Wingate, you mind telling me why you've been keeping it a secret that you've been back in these parts all this time?
You have any business asking?
I'm Barnaby Jones. This is my daughter-in-law, Betty Jones. I'm a private investigator working for, you might say, Jenny Sutherland. Betty's been up all night tracking you back and forth across the country.
What for?
Before I answer that, you mind telling me where you were about 6:30 last night?
What is this? You don't have any right coming here asking me questions like that.
Now, take it easy, Doug. We're only here because that wheelchair of yours made some pretty clear tracks all over the scene of a murder.
Murder?
Lester Watkins, you were there earlier. Buck Fowler will identify you.
Maybe I was. But I was back here about 5.
Did anyone see you?
Yeah, a dozen people. I didn't close up here until 8 o'clock last night. What's this got to do with Jenny?
I'll trade you an apology for an explanation. Why are you hiding here in 5 Oaks?
Who says I'm hiding?
I just got a feeling. Is it so you can drive over to Santa Carla every once in a while and take a look at Jenny?
Yeah. So I can get a look at her. That's all.
Don't you think she'd like to see you too, Doc?
No. Jenny used to look up to me. I don't think I could stand it to sit here and have her look down at me. It's enough that I still love her, but I don't want to spoil it.
You're the only one I know who's fallen in love with Jenny and lived to talk about it.
I know what people are saying, but she's not a jinx. She just had a lot of bad luck.
Yeah, like that time you fell off the horse. How'd that happen?
It was easy for anything but a nag. Jenny's horse took the jump like a rabbit. Mine balked and threw me.
How'd you happen to pick a spooky horse like that?
I didn't.
Who did?
Jenny. But she didn't know what she was doing. She feels bad enough. It wasn't her fault. She was just a kid.
Thank you. I want you to talk to Mrs. Revere.
About what?
There's a doctor that treated Jenny for a while after John Ferris drove his car off that cliff. Get the doctor's name. I want to know the nature and length of her treatment and a diagnosis.
Mrs. Jones, I'm very sorry, but I cannot help you.
Well, are you sure? Barnaby thought that it might be useful if we could talk to the doctor who treated Jenny.
I don't see why. I mean, what does it matter? The clinic isn't there anymore. They tore it down for a new housing project.
Well, did you ever speak to the doctor while Jenny was a patient there?
Yes, but he didn't think it was anything serious. You see, Jenny's a very high-strung, emotional girl, and she's had some dreadful nightmares. It's been a very bad time for her.
Well, try to remember, please, if you can.
Well, he said something about Jenny daydreaming too much, trying to escape reality, having personality problems. Oh, heavens, after what she went through, who wouldn't?
Was the term split personality ever used?
Yes, I believe it was.
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Revere.
You're welcome. Bye. Bye.
Sorry, did I startle you?
No.
Jenny Sutherland.
I'm Betty Jones, Mr. Jones's daughter-in-law, secretary.
How nice. Then we'll be seeing you again soon.
Yes, I hope so.
Jenny?
Surprise. I think you're mean.
Why?
Being here all this time. And never even a call.
How'd you find me?
I heard someone say that you were living close by. So your old friend Jimmy Winter is in San Francisco, and I thought that if anybody knew where you were, that he would.
I didn't want you to know.
I was afraid you might still be mad at me.
I could never be mad at you. I love you, Jenny. I don't have a right to say that anymore.
Yeah, you know, as I was saying, Lester would stand on his head just to be around Jenny, but I think the closest he ever got to her was when he worked on her car.
Buck, do you recall exactly what happened the day before Greg Larkin was killed in his boat?
Yeah, like I said, Greg trailered it in here for Lester to work on.
Was Jenny with him?
Mm-hmm. They were driving over for Jenny to meet Greg's aunt. I'd say it was getting to be meet the family time for those two.
And they left the boat here that night to be fixed.
Mm-hmm. I tell you, though, Lester wasn't any too hot on the idea. He was busy. He told him all Greg had to do was adjust that spring on that valve. The kid could do it. But, I don't know, Greg said he'd rather Lester did it. I think he was afraid if he did it wrong, it might cause an explosion.
What time did Lester go home that night?
I don't know. It was sometime after supper, though.
What makes you think it was after supper?
Well, when I emptied the trash around here the next day, I found paper plates, milk cartons, you know.
Is that plates, plural?
Yeah. Lester must have had company. There was two of everything. There was plates, slaw dishes, drink cartons.
Where would Lester get a takeout meal like that?
A diner up the road here.
There you go, mister. You gotta be kidding. Over half our business is takeout, mister.
Let's concentrate on that half. 2 weeks ago, the night before Greg Larkin was killed out on the lake, Lester Watkins came in here and he ordered food to go.
Poor Lester.
Maybe you can do a favor for poor Lester. Try to remember, he ordered 2 of everything.
Well, he didn't order 2 of everything. You know, I never took an order like that before.
What does like that mean?
Well, besides all the other food, he orders himself a malt, like he always does. And then he ordered, would you believe it, he ordered a cup of hot chocolate with vanilla ice cream.
You got a phone around here I can use?
Yeah, sure, outside.
Thanks.
Hello?
Hello, Betty. Did you reach that doctor?
No, but I think Mrs. Revere may have the answer for us. She said that the doctor told her Jenny was running away from reality, that she had personality problems.
I was afraid of that. Did the doctor call it split personality?
Yes. She remembered when I said it.
Thank you, Betty.
Hey, Mr. Jones! Asking about Doug Wingate?
Yeah.
Just came over the radio. The police say somebody stabbed him in a store up in Five Oaks.
They say who did it?
They don't know. But can you imagine that, a guy in a wheelchair? Was he the same guy that came into the garage?
One and the same. He's still alive?
Just barely, I guess. I only caught part of it, then I came looking for you.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Jenny? Jenny, it's Barnaby Jones. Jenny, are you home?
Barnaby. I thought you'd forgotten all about me.
How could I ever do that? Ms. Revere home?
I guess she went out of the store.
That's all right. I really wanted to see you, Jenny.
Well, how nice. Can I get you something to drink?
No, thank you. Jenny, I think I may have stumbled onto the answer to all those unpleasant things that have been happening to you.
Stumbled? Well, that's hardly a descriptive word for expert detective work now, is it?
Accurate, though. You see, I stumbled onto this thought that Doug Wingate is back and living around here somewhere.
Doug?
Very nice young fellow.
Yes, he was. I told you, he fell off his horse. Yeah, I remember, I told you.
I talked to him. He said that you picked out that horse for him.
No? Well, I don't remember. It was such a long time ago.
Did you know that the horse shied?
Are you sure you wouldn't like a drink? Oh, no, that's right. You're milk, aren't you?
That's right. John Ferris wasn't much of a drinker either, was he?
One for the road. Go on, finish it. Or are you afraid?
How much whiskey did you have to get down John Ferris that night? Enough to get him drunk so that he had the accident on the way home?
Doug is living around here somewhere. I have the feeling. I've just got the feeling.
Would you like to talk about Greg Larkin's boat?
Have you seen it? It's a beauty, isn't it?
Maybe I should be saying all these things to the other Jenny Sutherland.
What other Jenny Sutherland?
The one who was never shown any love. Her parents were very strict with that Jenny.
Well, it was evil, Mama said. Men were such beasts. Even my daddy. I had to keep myself pure. I couldn't let anyone touch me.
You were taught that love was evil?
What?
I think you heard me, Jenny. One side of you wanting love so very, very much, the love that was never given you. The other side afraid of being loved, afraid of being evil. That's the Jenny Sutherland that had to destroy anyone who loved you.
I didn't know any Jenny Sutherland like that.
You didn't go to Greg's aunt that day, did you? You went back to Lester's because there was one little spring that had to be fixed. And then Greg's boat would only have one last fast run.
I don't know.
Lester was delighted to see you again. He offered to get you some food.
I don't know. What are you going to have, Lester?
The waitress down at the diner remembered. A scoop of vanilla ice cream and hot chocolate. Lester didn't know what went on at the garage while he was at the diner. But he told you he loved you, didn't he? Only one person was ever afraid, really afraid, that you would be loved. And that one person was you.
Barnaby? Barnaby, I'm so glad you're here. Ah! Ah!
Did you get through to the hospital, Betty?
Yes. Doug Wingate's going to be all right. But I wonder if she is.
They'll never be able to prove it, Mr. Jones. Any of it.
You only have to prove things against criminals. I can't believe that Jenny, who just waved goodbye to us, is a criminal. Maybe one day, with the proper treatment, she'll tell the doctors all about it.
I did the best I could for her all these years, Mr. Jones.
I know you did. But sometimes I wonder why there's so much room for love in little houses sometimes, and no room for it all in big houses.
Miss Latham, in your last editorial...
Ms. Latham.
Yes, Ms. Latham. You stated that Lawrence Kinner's reputation as this country's greatest living novelist was deplorable.
No, the reputation was only laughable. The fact that he's living is deplorable. He's a charlatan, masking a third-rate talent under a cloak of male chauvinism. If he spent as much time writing as he does talking, the public would at least be spared the agony of looking at him.
Mr. Kinner, how do you feel about that statement?
Only pity, really, for someone suffering a mental diaper rash while groping around for a misplaced sexual identity.
At least I know your identity. King of the clearance racks, the poor man's Hemingway.
I understand you spent the last 6 months working on your latest novel.
Oh, yes, and he got as far as the title. Now, Mr. Kinner, when will we be able to read the book?
As soon as you've acquired that facility, I assume.
You know, seriously, perhaps if you'd stop maligning women and acknowledge them as your equals, you'd regain your popularity.
My reputation is based on honesty. I couldn't possibly espouse such a ludicrous concept.
But you're not above living off a woman. If it hadn't been for your wife, you'd have starved to death years ago. It's been 10 years since you've been anywhere near the bestseller list.
I'm sorry. I just can't stand to hear you run down.
Well, I guess I better get my stuff together and get out of here. I'll be late for my lecture. Honey, that last stuff was really below the belt. I mean, about my living off of you. Even if it was the truth.
Larry, you live with me. Between a husband and wife, nothing's divisible. Everything I have, you own. Larry. Including all my love.
Hello.
I love you.
Love you?
Did you see the show?
That's very convincing. I was beginning to believe we really do hate each other.
What a shock the public's in for. When we get married. How long, Larry?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. After all your planning?
I told you, it's not easy.
You're stalling, Larry. You've been stalling since the beginning.
Don't you understand? Timing on this thing has to be just perfect. I'd be too suspect if anything goes wrong.
I love you, Larry. I can't wait much longer.
You won't have to wait long, I promise. Okay, I have to leave now. I'll talk to you later.
Who is calling?
Draper. He's still playing like the editor in distress. He wants my manuscript. I'll see you. I'll be back before midnight.
I'll wait up. I have to answer some letters.
Catherine? Who are you?
Aren't you Brooke Latham?
That's right.
What do you want?
Your husband.
What are you talking about?
He won't do it. So.
No, 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 please. No, 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 you can't. No. Oh, Hans, help me. Hans, Hans. Hans, help me.
Police authorities have tentatively ruled my daughter's death due either to a suicide or an accident. But both theories leave too many questions. I don't see how it could have been an accident.
Why not, Mr. Strand?
Because Marjorie had a deathly fear of the water. She almost drowned as a child.
Seems strange she'd have a house with a pool.
But it was her husband who insisted on putting it in for his own pleasure. Marjorie'd go out on the patio sometimes, but she'd never go near the pool.
Well, with a phobia like that, would seem to rule out accident or suicide as far as drowning is concerned. Did you tell all this to the police?
Yes. They said that there's no simple rationale for suicide.
Well, I understand that she was an invalid and had been suffering a great deal of pain lately.
Yes, but she was too much of a fighter to ever contemplate taking her own life.
Well, if that's true, there's only one other alternative. Do you know of anyone who might have wanted to harm your daughter?
No, she had no enemies, and,
And what?
she never fought with her husband.
Well, I understand her husband was about 20 miles away at the time of your daughter's death, lecturing to a group of fans.
Yes, it is. Just that Larry had become so erratic lately. His writing had suffered.
Really? Never forget the first book of his. I read it about 10 years ago. I'm not a critic, but that man could really spin a yarn.
Yes, but it's been downhill ever since. He was never able to write anything comparable afterward, even saleable. It got to the point where he had to keep his name alive with various publicity antics. As for money, my daughter was quite wealthy in her own right. That money now becomes his, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Kinner should be down soon. I heard him stirring upstairs.
Thank you.
Poor man, he hasn't left his room since the funeral. Well, you've certainly given the premises a going over, Mr. Jones. Are you looking for anything special?
No, I just sort of beat the bushes and hope something flies out at me.
Mr. Jones? My father on my phone said you'd be coming over.
Oh, I'm very pleased to meet you. Isn't often I get to meet a famous writer in the course of my day's work.
Yeah. I'm flattered that you think so. If I can be of any help in what you're doing here, just let me know.
Well, yes, maybe you could be of some help. I found this over by that fence there.
What is it?
Well, it looks like a piece of a glove. Have any idea where it came from?
Might be the gardener's, huh?
Doesn't look like a work glove. Teeth marks in it, like the dog might have gotten to it. I understand the dog was loose on the terrace here when your wife was found.
Yeah, evidently he climbed out over the gate.
Have to be pretty agitated to make a jump that high.
Yeah. He probably got out when Marjorie fell in the pool. Dogs can somehow sense when their masters are in danger. Not careful, it can be vicious.
Yeah, maybe.
You have quite a gift with animals. He's never taken to me like that.
That so? Seems a strange attitude for a dog to have to his owner.
I'm not his owner. It belongs to my father-in-law. Gave it to Marjorie as a companion.
Looks like this dog has a kind of a lump over his left ear here.
A lump?
Yeah, looks like a contusion. Anybody struck this dog lately?
Nobody in my house would abuse an animal.
I know a very good vet. I think I'll call Mr. Strand, ask him if he'd like me to have the dog looked at.
Okay.
You know, it could be this glove, or what's left of it, belonged to a trespasser who made a quick exit, maybe over that fence.
We haven't had a trespasser around here. But you think somebody may have gotten in here and killed Margie?
You know anyone who would want your wife dead?
No, nobody. Nobody at all.
Larry, I didn't hear you drive up. You know how involved I always get when I'm working on a new issue. How are you?
How should I be?
I tried calling, but your housekeeper answered, so I hung up. Well, I won't lie, Larry. You can't expect condolences from me.
I don't expect anything from you. Least of all, a sense of charity, Brooke.
Charity? You hypocrite. Who used to pace for hours planning his wife's murder? How many times did you talk about killing her so we could be together? Or is that all it was? Talk. Did you ever really mean any of it?
Yes, I meant it.
Well, then what's bothering you? Your wife solved all her problems by committing suicide.
If she really committed suicide.
What do you mean, if?
My father-in-law, he hired a private detective to look into her death.
Why?
He suspects murder. Then I have a feeling the investigator does too.
Does he have any evidence?
Only a theory. He thinks somebody might have broke into the house that night. On the way out, got bitten by Marjorie's dog. Why are you hiding your arm like that?
I'm not. I heard it the other day playing tennis.
I see it.
It's nothing.
I shouldn't let me look at it! A cast from playing tennis? Or is he covering something else, like teeth marks?
But Larry,
now
please!
Tell me!
You're hurting me!
You tell me the truth!
All right! I killed her! That's what you wanted, isn't it? What we both wanted. I'm sure you would have done it yourself, but she was so helpless. If it had been a man, someone equal to you in strength, I'm sure you would have done it a long time ago. Oh, Larry, it's all over now. We have each other. There's nothing. No one is standing in our way.
I hope you're right.
Trust me, babe. Trust me.
Hi. Oh, have a nice walk?
He had a nice walk. I just went along for the ride.
What did the vet say?
Well, the lump behind his ear was caused by a blow. But the skin wasn't broken, so it was probably caused by a blunt instrument.
That's what I figured.
Did that piece of gloves tell you anything?
Good quality leather, medium grain, probably belonged to a man. There's something about it I don't understand.
What's that?
Found this inside.
Looked like a piece of broken fingernail.
Painted bright red.
Inside a man's glove?
You better get going.
A little while ago, you wanted me to stay forever.
I still do. We have lots of time for that later.
Okay.
Well, hello. Hope I'm not intruding.
Hi, Tom. Dr. Reston, this is Bert Shallot.
Mr. Charlotte, nice to know you.
Didn't realize doctors still made house calls.
Well, I happen to be in the neighborhood, so I thought I'd look at Brooke's wrist and save her an office call.
I'll talk to you later, Bert.
Yeah, sure. Excuse me. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
I don't like unexpected visits.
Well, now, you gave me one last week, and I kind of liked it.
Tom, look, I'm sorry. It won't work. I realize you can't revive something that's dead.
You've been conning me, haven't you, Brooke?
What are you talking about?
All the little bits and pieces are starting to fit together. Like that bit right there with Charlotte at the door. Brooke, I've seen Larry Kinner on enough magazine covers and television shows to know who he is. I mean, what do you take me for?
All right. He and I are friends. I didn't want to be seen with him because we're carrying on a public feud, a very profitable one.
Didn't his wife drown last week?
Yeah. He's very broken up about it.
Monday. On the night that you called me. Because you wanted to be treated.
Look, Tom, this is getting very tiresome. I wish...
No. Don't interrupt. Now I remember. The newspaper's building up about a dog grieving over Mrs. Kinner. And now I know why you wanted us to cover up the teeth marks.
It's not what you're thinking.
Isn't it? I'm thinking you helped put that lady in the pool. And then you used me as a patsy. You used me, Brooke. Because you knew I'd never say anything revealing about you. Didn't you?
I only came to you because I needed help.
Well, now, what am I supposed to do? Keep quiet?
What do you want to do?
Well, suppose we meet at my house tonight. For dinner. And we'll talk it over.
All right.
Why don't we find you a comfortable chair? Oh, Ms. Latham, this is Mr. Barnaby Jones.
I just have a few questions, Miss Latham.
I only have a minute. What can I do for you?
I'm a private investigator hired to look into the death of Mrs. Lawrence Kinner.
Yes, I read about her suicide.
Seems to be some question of that.
Why come to me?
Because it's probable that Mrs. Kinner had a visitor about the time she drowned, and I wanted to talk to everyone who knew her or her husband.
Well, I've never met Mrs. Kinner, and I have no connection with her husband, unless you're referring to our public controversy.
I sure am. You know, I've been reading some of the topics of your television debates, and I gotta hand it to you. You really know a lot about your adversary.
Know thy enemy, Mr. Jones. I do a lot of research, but I assure you it's nothing personal.
That's rare. I have seen a lot of controversies in my time, and I have never seen one that wasn't personal.
Well, for your information, the controversy is an idealistic struggle between a woman freedom fighter and a corrupt, egomaniacal bigot.
Well, I can see you're certainly not in love with him.
Love? Who could love that male sexist pig?
Possibly a female one. Have you any idea who that might be?
Mrs. Jones, I am sorry. Lawrence Kinner's love life, if it's possible for a man like that to have one, is of no interest to me.
Can you beat that?
I think that says it all.
Well, seems he was friendly enough to pose for you.
Well, that happened to be an existing photo. The chauvinist sign is superimposed.
Oh, that's best superimposition I ever saw. No tonal differences? No lines of demarcation?
Mr. Jones, I have a magazine to get out. I'm very busy. If there's nothing else.
I see you hurt your hand.
Yeah, I sprained my wrist.
And you chipped a nail on your little finger.
When I sprained it.
Oh. Well, thank you very much. Oh, in case I ever need one, would you mind telling me the name of the doctor who made that cast for you? You would. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Latham.
Larry, I'm glad I caught you. I just had a visit with that investigator.
Jones? What do you want?
He was trying to connect you with a woman.
What do you have?
Nothing. He was just fishing.
I don't like it.
Quit worrying about him. There's somebody much more important. Brought you a fresh one.
Well, if you're trying to get me drunk, you don't need alcohol. Just having you here's enough.
That's very sweet.
Well, I'm a very sweet guy. It's true. I've never ever stopped loving you. Not ever. But now you're gonna be mine, aren't you?
If that's what you want.
That's what I want, Brooke. More than anything. Come here. What do you see out there?
Out a dark sky. Some stars.
There's a lot more. The whole world for us. We're gonna take a trip. Maybe Hawaii, Japan. Just you and me. Get to know each other again. Like it used to be. And you're gonna forget all about Larry Kinner.
That's not going to be very hard. I better check dinner.
Okay.
Did you hear me come in?
No. Do it now. Now. In case you need it.
We have to make it look like it was an accident.
Well, Brooke, I was just thinking. It was all in it.
Larry. Now, Larry, believe me. It was the only way. Believe me. Come on, come on. Still going over that information I gave you on Kinner?
For the 5th time, and I'll tell you something. There is nothing in here that tells me anything about who that other woman might be, if there is another woman. Did you find out anything about Brooke Latham?
Mm-hmm. No. I checked her neighbors, an ex-roommate. Believe it or not, I even checked her cleaning lady, but I'll tell you, I think you're on the wrong track there, Mr. J.
Well, I'll tell you something about tracks. Once you get on one, you got to stay on it until you reach the end.
Yes, but Brooke Latham and Larry Kinner? I mean, her hate for him is pure eloquence.
So I've heard, but there are a couple of things that bother me. That cast on her hand, and that chipped fingernail. You know, for somebody who is at war with men, she spends an awful lot of time fraternizing with the enemy.
War makes strange bedfellows, Barnaby.
Here's one that's not so strange. Thomas Reston.
Do you know him?
Well, no, but you say here that he was once engaged to Brooke Latham. And he's a doctor.
The cast.
That's where you would go to get one. Why don't you call Dr. Reston, and if he's not in, find out his own number.
All right.
Well, it might have been an accident. It's clear he fell over the railing.
It's clear he fell over the railing, all right, but whether or not it was an accident, that's something else.
What are you saying?
I'm not sure, but it seems to be the one thing a man would know about his own house, is, especially if it was perched on a cliff like this, is how far he can lean over his terrace rail.
How about if the man had been drinking? From the looks of things inside, Dr. Reston had quite a few before he fell.
Well, that could be the difference.
By the way, what was it you wanted to see him about?
Putting a cast on a dog bite.
A cast on a dog bite?
Kind of crazy to me, too.
Dr. Reston was such a fine man. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Jones.
That's all right. I know how you must feel. You ever see this woman before?
No. No, not that I can remember. I know she isn't one of Dr. Reston's patients.
You know if Dr. Reston treated anyone last Monday about midnight?
Oh, the office closes at 6.
But couldn't he have been called back on an emergency?
Well, no, there's no record of it. Wait, did you say Monday?
Yes.
I remember on Tuesday morning having to clean up one of the examining rooms. Now, I know the room was clean when I left the night before, so Dr. Reston must have come back to treat someone.
Do you happen to know what the treatment was?
I believe he put on a cast. The gauze was left out and the plaster compound. Probably a break or a sprain. The patient must have had a skin puncture, too.
Why do you say that?
Well, because I remember that the tetanus vaccine was also left out. Dr. Reston must have given the patient a shot.
Well, thank you, Ms. Nelson. You've been a great help.
Stay back.
Morning.
Morning, Mr. Jones. What are you doing here?
Well, I went by your house. Your housekeeper said that you were out riding, said I might find you here.
What can I do for you this time?
Do you know a Dr. Thomas Reston?
I should. I was once engaged to him. But I'm sure you've already learned that. What about him?
He's dead.
How'd it happen?
Seems like he had a few drinks and fell off his terrace.
Tragic. Why did you feel you had to bring me the news personally?
You never did tell me who put the cast on your arm.
That's right, I didn't. Why is it so important?
Dr. Reston made a cast for somebody on Monday night.
Doctors do make casts.
He also administered a tetanus shot. Could have been for a dog bite.
Well, you seem unsure. I take it there was no record of the treatment?
Not a jot or a whittle.
That's too bad.
That's the first thing we've agreed on. Fine-looking animal. About 3 years old.
Really?
Funny thing about teeth, human or animal, they're kind of like fingerprints. No two sets alike. I've taken an impression of the Kinner dog's mouth.
Just why are you telling me all this?
Well, I'm hoping that you'll show me what's under your cast so I don't have to bother you again.
I'd be happy to. Of course, it could just be an infringement of personal rights.
Depends on how you look at it.
Mr. Jones, do you have a court order directing me to remove this cast?
Can't say that I do.
Then perhaps we better say goodbye. Could you hear?
Yeah.
He knows, and I'm worried.
Good morning. Hello.
Did you just rent Miss Latham a horse?
Sure did.
Was she alone?
Nope. She had a man with her. Yeah, that's the fellow that rode out with her. Anything wrong?
No. Thanks. How did it happen? Somebody didn't read this.
What is it? What's wrong?
Well, it looks like we've got a sick dog here.
Well, he's probably still grieving over Marjorie's death.
No, that's more than that. Look at this saliva around the muzzle here.
I think it's distemper.
Oh, rabies. I'm taking him back to the vet. Come on, boy. There you are, Mr. Jones.
Thanks for your help, Mrs. Train.
I hope this works.
Rabies.
I thought I'd better tell you right away.
Larry. Oh, Larry.
Take it easy. I still can't see how the dog could have been exposed to rabies.
Find out. Call the vet.
Yes, Mr. Kinner, the dog is here.
Any diagnosis?
Well, the dog is under observation, and then we're going to run some tests.
Well, look, can you do those tests now?
Well, I don't understand the urgency. Has the dog bitten anybody?
Well, no, but,
We'll have some results for you in a day or two. Yes, I'll keep in touch. Thanks, Doc. Thank you very much.
That dog is rabid. I've got to have treatment right away.
there are gonna be questions asked wherever you have it done. We have to think about this.
There's no time. Larry, help me. Help me.
We'll go out of town. Santa Barbara, maybe.
Great. I'll pack some things.
You say there's no chance in finding the dog that bit you?
No, it happened while I was hiking, a stray mongrel. I'm sure it didn't belong to anyone.
I see. Why was a cast applied?
I also sprained my wrist.
Why didn't you have your own doctor?
Well, he was going to start, you see, but he was called out of town on emergency. Can't you help me?
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at that wound. You better consult your doctor first. Is there a number where he can be reached?
No, I told you, he's out of the country.
Oh. Well, what about his office number? They must have your medical records on file.
There isn't any file. I mean...
I better get this okayed. You? I'll be right back. What do you say? What's going on?
It's this cast. They're asking questions.
All right, well, we better go someplace else.
No, they just ask the same questions. Here, you take this off. You take it off. He won't help me. We'll find somebody who will.
Doctor, that patient who just came in a few minutes ago.
Excuse me. I'm a private investigator. Where do you have that patient?
First examining room on the left. Why? What's wrong?
Call the police and clear the area.
Now, call that doctor. Hurry.
Now let's have a look at that wrist.
It was a trick. That dog didn't have rabies.
Not unless you gave them to him.
How'd you find out?
The case is like a kaleidoscope, Mr. Kinner. You have to keep twisting until the pieces form a pattern.
I had nothing to do with my wife's death.
That may very well be, but what about Dr. Reston? I don't think he fell off of that terrace by himself, and I don't think she was strong enough to push him. Let's go. Drop it.
I've got a gun at your back, Jones.
All right, Brooke, let's go.
You won't make it. We'll call the police.
All right, then you're coming with us. Let's go out to the parking lot. We're going for a drive. Now open the door.
Larry, wait, you coward!
Hold it! Freeze!
Pig. That cowardly pig.
What do you expect from a male chauvinist? Thought I'd bring Hans back to you.
Did Larry confess?
Yes, to everything.
How could he do it?
Mr. Strand, do you know how a Venus flytrap works? The victim is drawn in by sheer beauty and seductiveness. Your son-in-law was a very weak man.
Well, thank you, Mr. Jones. You've done a good job.
Couldn't have done it without Hans. We make a pretty good team.
Venus as a Flytrap. Chapter 1. The bright lights of the television studio hummed with a subtle heat, casting a sharp glare over the polished interview set. Sitting across from each other were two individuals who had made a career out of mutual public disdain. On the left sat Brooke Latham, an editor and outspoken critic whose sharp intellect was matched only by her refusal to back down from a fight. On the right sat Lawrence Kinner, a once best-selling novelist whose public persona had become increasingly defined by bravado, sharp retorts, and an unwavering commitment to his own ego. The host, seated between them, turned toward Brooke with a professional smile, holding up a copy of her latest published work. Miss Latham, in your last editorial, you stated that Lawrence Kinner's reputation as this country's greatest living novelist was deplorable. Brooke leaned forward, her expression cool and completely unbothered by the weight of her words. No, the reputation was only laughable. The fact that he is living is deplorable. He is a charlatan masking a third-rate talent under a cloak of male chauvinism. If he spent as much time writing as he does talking, the public would at least be spared the agony of looking at him. The host turned his attention to Lawrence, raising an eyebrow in anticipation of a sharp response. Mr. Kinner, how do you feel about that statement? Lawrence let out a soft, amused sigh, adjusting his jacket with practiced calm. Only pity, really, for someone suffering a mental diaper rash while groping around for a misplaced sexual identity. Brooke did not hesitate for a single second. At least I know your identity, king of the clearance racks, the poor man's Hemingway. The host intervened smoothly, trying to steer the conversation back to the literary world. I understand you spent the last 6 months working on your latest novel. Oh, yes, Brooke interrupted quickly, her voice laced with heavy sarcasm. And he got as far as the title. Now, Mr. Kinner, when will we be able to read the book? As soon as you have acquired that facility, I assume, Lawrence replied, casting a dismissive glance in Brooke's direction. You know, seriously, Brooke said, crossing her arms, perhaps if you would stop maligning women and acknowledge them as your equals, you would regain your popularity. My reputation is based on amnesty. I could not possibly espouse such a ludicrous concept. But you are not above living off a woman, Brooke continued, her voice cutting through the air. If it had not been for your wife, you would have starved to death years ago. It has been 10 years since you have been anywhere near the bestseller list. Chapter 2. The bright studio lights faded as the broadcast came to an end. Off camera, the air between the two guests underwent a dramatic transformation. The sharp, aggressive tension melted away, replaced by an easy, comfortable intimacy that revealed the true nature of their relationship. I am sorry, Brooke said, stepping closer to Lawrence as they gathered their belongings. I just cannot stand to hear you run down. Well, I guess I'm going to get my stuff together and get out of here. I will be late for my lecture. Honey, that last stuff was really below the belt, Lawrence said, offering a small, fond smile. I mean, about my living off of you, even if it was the truth. Larry, you live with me, Brooke replied softly, reaching out to rest a hand on his arm. Between a husband and a wife, nothing is divisible. Everything I have, you own. Larry, including all my love. Hello, he murmured back gently. Love you. Brooke looked at him closely, a sudden thought crossing her mind. Did you see the show? It was very convincing. I was beginning to believe we really do hate each other. What a shock the public is in for when we get married. Lawrence shifted his weight slightly, his expression clouding for a brief instant. How long, Larry? Brooke asked, her tone shifting from playful to serious. I am not sure. Not sure? After all your planning? I told you it is not easy. You're stalling, Larry. You have been stalling since the beginning. Don't you understand? Timing on this thing has to be just perfect. I would be too suspect if anything goes wrong. I love you, Larry, Brooke said, her eyes searching his face. I cannot wait much longer. You do not have to wait long, I promise. Brooke took a deep breath and glanced at her watch. Okay, I have to leave now. I will talk to you later. Before she could step away, Lawrence's telephone rang. He picked it up, listened for a moment, and then set the receiver back down. Who was calling? Brooke asked. Draper. He is still playing like the editor in distress. He wants my manuscript. I will see him. I will be back before midnight. I will wait up, Brooke said, moving toward the door. I have to answer some letters. Chapter 3. The evening air was cool and quiet as Brooke returned home. She stepped into the house, placing her keys on the side table, expecting nothing out of the ordinary. But as she moved deeper into the main living area, a shadow shifted near the hallway. Catherine? Brooke called out, pausing. A figure emerged from the dim light. A woman stood there, her hands trembling, her face pale with desperation. Who are you? Brooke asked, her voice tightening. Aren't you Brooke Latham? That is right. What do you want? Your husband, the woman whispered, stepping closer. What are you talking about? You won't do it. I will show you, the woman cried out, her composure completely shattering. No, 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 please. No, 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 no. Before Brooke could fully process what was happening, the situation spiraled out of control. A brief, frantic struggle ensued near the doorway, leading toward the outdoor patio. I am stuck. Hugs. Help me. Hugs. Hugs. I am stuck. Help me. I am stuck. Hugs. Help me. The frantic cries dissolved into the quiet night, leaving behind a sudden, heavy stillness that hung over the entire estate. Chapter 4. In the quiet office of Private Investigator Barnaby Jones, an elderly gentleman named Mr. Strand sat upright in his chair, his hands clasped tightly in his lap. The atmosphere in the room was somber, heavy with unresolved grief. The police authorities have tentatively ruled my daughter's death due either to a suicide or an accident, Mr. Strand began, his voice raspy with emotion. But both theories leave too many questions. Barnaby Jones leaned back in his leather chair, listening attentively. I do not see how it could have been an accident. Why not, Mr. Strand? Because Marjorie had a deathly fear of the water. She almost drowned as a child. Seems strange she would have a house with a pool, Barnaby noted gently. But it was her husband who insisted on putting it in for his own pleasure. Marjorie would go out on the patio sometimes, but she would never go near the pool. Well, with a phobia like that, it would seem to rule out accident or suicide as far as drowning is concerned, Barnaby observed. Did you tell all this to the police? Yes, Mr. Strand nodded bitterly. They said that there is no simple rationale for suicide. Well, I understand that she was an invalid and had been suffering a great deal of pain lately. Yes, but she was too much of a fighter to ever contemplate taking her own life. If that is true, there is only one other alternative, Barnaby said softly. Do you know of anyone who might have wanted to harm your daughter?
No.
She had no enemies and what? She never fought with her husband. Well, Barnaby continued, referencing his initial notes, I understand her husband was about 20 miles away at the time of your daughter's death, lecturing to a group of fans. Yes, it is just that Larry had become so erratic lately. His writing had suffered. Really? Barnaby said, tapping his desk. I never forget the first book of his. I read it about 10 years ago. Not a critic, but that man could really spin a yarn. Yes, but it has been downhill ever since, Mr. Strand replied with a weary sigh. He was never able to write anything comparable afterward, even saleable. It got to the point where he had to keep his name alive with various publicity antics. As for money, my daughter was quite wealthy in her own right. That money now becomes his, Mr. Jones. Chapter 5. Barnaby Jones arrived at the Grand Kinner estate later that afternoon. The grounds were expansive, featuring manicured lawns and a large outdoor patio built around a deep swimming pool. The housekeeper greeted Barnaby at the entrance, her expression grim. Mr. Kinner should be down soon. I heard him stirring upstairs. Thank you, Barnaby said politely. Poor man, she added in a low voice. He has not left his room since the funeral. Barnaby walked slowly toward the patio area, his keen eyes scanning every detail of the ground. He knelt by the wooden fence that separated the yard from the adjacent property, sifting through the soil near the base of a gate. A moment later, Lawrence Kinner stepped out onto the terrace, wearing a dark jacket, his expression heavy with grief. Well, you have certainly given the premises a going-over, Mr. Jones. Are you looking for anything special? No, Barnaby replied, standing up smoothly and wiping his hands. I just sort of beat the bushes and hope something flies out at me. Mr. Kinner, Barnaby called out politely as the writer approached. Finally, Lawrence said, offering a weak handshake. My phone said you would be coming over. I am very pleased to meet you. Is it not often I get to meet a famous writer in the course of my day's work? Barnaby said with a friendly smile. Yeah, Lawrence nodded. I am flattered that you think so. If I can be of any help in what you are doing here, just let me know. Well, yes, maybe you could be of some help, Barnaby said, holding up a small object he had just retrieved from the fence line. I found this over by that fence there. What is it? Lawrence asked, leaning in slightly. Oh, it looks like a piece of a glove. Any idea where it came from? Might be the gardener's, huh? Lawrence shrugged. Doesn't look like a work glove. Teeth marks in it, Barnaby pointed out, examining the torn edge carefully, like the dog might have gotten to it. I understand the dog was loose on the terrace here when your wife was found. Yeah, evidently, he climbed out over the gate. Had to be pretty agitated to make it jump that high. Yeah, Barnaby agreed. He probably got out when Marjorie fell in the pool. Dogs can somehow sense when their masters are in danger. Not careful can be vicious. At that moment, a large dog bounded across the patio toward Barnaby. Instead of barking, the animal approached calmly, letting Barnaby stroke its head gently. There, baby, Barnaby murmured softly to the animal. Quite a gift with animals, Lawrence remarked, watching the interaction. He has never taken to me like that. That's so? Barnaby looked up. Seems a strange attitude for a dog to have to his owner. I am not his owner, Lawrence explained. Belongs to my father-in-law. Gave it to Marjorie as a companion. Barnaby continued to run his hands gently over the dog's head, pausing near the left ear. Looks like this dog has a kind of a lump over his left ear here. A lump? Yeah, looks like an intrusion. Anybody struck this dog lately? Nobody in my house would abuse an animal, Lawrence replied firmly. I know a very good vet, Barnaby said evenly. I think I will call Mr. Strand and ask him if he would like me to have the dog looked at. Okay, Lawrence said, his tone turning cautious. Barnaby added, looking back toward the perimeter fence, it could be this glove, or what is left of it belonged to a trespasser who made a quick exit, maybe over that fence. We have not had a trespasser around here, Lawrence insisted. Don't you think somebody may have gotten in here and killed Marjorie? Do you know anyone who would want your wife dead? No, Lawrence said flatly. Nobody. Nobody at all. Chapter 6. Later that evening, Lawrence arrived at Brooke Latham's private residence. He pulled his car up quietly and walked up the front steps, entering through the unlocked door. Brooke was sitting at her desk, sifting through a stack of editorial drafts. Larry, Brooke said, turning around in surprise. I did not hear you drive up. You know how involved I always get when I am working on a new issue, Lawrence said, tossing his jacket onto a chair.
How are you?
How should I be? Brooke replied dryly. I tried calling, but your housekeeper answered, so I hung up. Well, I will not lie, Larry. You cannot expect condolences from me. I do not expect anything from you, Lawrence said defensively. Least of all a sense of charity, Brooke. Charity? Brooke scoffed, standing up from her desk. You hypocrite, who used to pace for hours planning his wife's murder. How many times did you talk about killing her so we could be together? Or, is that all it was?
Talk.
Did you ever really mean any of it? Yes, I meant it, Lawrence said, looking away. Then what is bothering you? Your wife solved all her problems by committing suicide. If she really committed suicide, Lawrence muttered darkly. What do you mean, if? My father-in-law. He hired a private detective to look into her death.
Why?
He suspects murder, Lawrence said, walking closer to her. And I have a feeling he investigated us, too. Does he have any evidence? Only a theory. He thinks somebody might have broke into the house that night. On the way out, got bitten by Marjorie's dog. Brooke instinctively pulled her right arm back, tucking it behind her coat. Lawrence caught the movement immediately. Why are you hiding your arm like that? I am not, Brooke said quickly. I heard it the other day playing tennis. Lawrence pressed, his eyes narrowing. Can I see it? It is nothing, Brooke insisted, taking a step backward. I shouldn't let me look at it, Lawrence demanded, reaching out and grabbing her wrist firmly. A cast from playing tennis? Lawrence spat out as he pulled her arm into the light, revealing a hard plaster cast wrapped tightly around her forearm. Or is it covering something else, like teeth marks? Larry, please. Brooke gasped, trying to pull away. Now tell me, Lawrence demanded, his grip tightening.
You are hurting me.
You tell me the truth.
All right,
Brooke shouted, her face flushed with sudden emotion. I killed her. That is what you wanted, isn't it? What we both wanted. I am sure you would have done it yourself, but she was so helpless. If it had been a man, someone equal to you in strength, I am sure you would have done it a long time ago. Silence fell over the room as the weight of her confession settled between them. Lawrence's grip loosened, and his demeanor shifted from anger to a chilling calmness. Oh, Larry, Brooke whispered, her voice softening as she reached up to touch his face.
It is all over now.
We have each other. There is nothing. No one is standing in our way. I hope you are right, Lawrence said quietly. Trust me, babe. Trust me. Chapter 7. Barnaby Jones stood at the entrance of a local veterinary clinic, holding the leash of Marjorie's dog. His assistant, Lee Merriweather, stepped out to meet him with a clipboard in hand. Did you have a nice walk? Lee asked with a gentle smile. He had a nice walk, Barnaby chuckled. I just went along for the ride. What did the vet say? Well, the lump behind his ear was caused by a blow, Barnaby explained, his expression becoming serious. But the skin was not broken, so it was probably caused by a blunt instrument. That is what I figured, Lee nodded. Did that piece of glove tell you anything? Good quality leather, Barnaby replied, retrieving the leather scrap from his pocket. Medium grain. Probably belonged to a man. There is something about it I do not understand. What is that? Found this inside, Barnaby said, holding up a small plastic specimen bag. Looked like a piece of broken fingernail. Painted bright red. Inside a man's glove? Lee asked, raising an eyebrow. Barnaby nodded slowly, deep in thought. Hey, you better get going. Chapter 8. At her private home, Brooke was preparing to entertain a visitor. She adjusted her outfit in the mirror, ensuring her arm cast was neatly tucked under a loose sleeve. The doorbell rang, and she walked over to open it. "A little while ago you wanted me to stay forever," a male voice said from the hallway. "I still do," Brooke replied smoothly. "We have lots of time for that later." "Okay." She opened the door fully to reveal Dr. Thomas Reston, an attractive man in his late 30s. Standing slightly behind him was another acquaintance, Bert Shallert. "Well, hello," Dr. Reston said with a warm smile. "Hope I am not intruding." "Hi, Tom," Brooke said, stepping aside. "I am Dr. Reston. This is Bert Shallert," Tom introduced. "Mr. Shallert, nice to know you," Brooke acknowledged politely. "Didn't realize doctors still made house calls," Bert remarked with a light laugh. "Well, I happen to be in the neighborhood, so I thought I would look at Brooke's arm," Dr. Reston explained smoothly. "Save her an office call. I will talk to you later, Bert." "Yeah, sure," Bert said, taking the cue to leave.
"Excuse me."
"Nice to meet you." "Thank you," Brooke called out as Bert departed. Once the door closed, her expression flattened immediately. "I do not like unexpected visits." "Well, now, you gave me one last week, and I kinda liked it," Tom said, stepping deeper into the living room.
"Tom, look, I am sorry."
"It won't work," Brooke said firmly, turning her back to him. "I realize you cannot revive something that is dead." Tom stopped walking. His smile faded, replaced by a sudden, sharp clarity. "You have been conning me, haven't you, Brooke?" "What are you talking about?" "All the little bits and pieces," Tom said, his voice dropping an octave. "The pieces are starting to fit together. Like that bit right there with Shallard at the door. Brooke, I have seen Larry Kinner on enough magazine covers and television shows to know who he is. I mean, what do you take me for?" "All right," Brooke snapped, turning around. "He and I are friends. I didn't want to be seen with him because we are carrying on a public feud, a very profitable one." "Didn't his wife drown last week?" Tom asked coldly. "Yeah," Brooke replied smoothly. "He is very broken up about it." "Monday," Tom continued, his eyes locking onto hers. "On the night that you called me because you wanted to be treated." "Look, Tom, this is getting very tiresome." "I wish." No, 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 no," Tom interrupted, holding up a hand. "Don't interrupt. Now I remember. The newspaper's building up about a dog grieving over Miss Kinner. And now I know why you wanted us to cover up the teeth marks." "It is not what you think," Brooke insisted. "Isn't it?" Tom challenged. "I am thinking you helped put that lady in the pool. And then you used me as a patsy. You used me, Brooke, because you knew I would never say anything revealing about you. Didn't you?" "I only came to you because I needed help," she said softly, trying to soften her tone. "Well, now, what am I supposed to do?" Tom asked, pacing across the room. "Keep quiet? What do you want to do?" Brooke asked quietly, her eyes tracking his movement. "Well," Tom said, slowing down and looking at her, "suppose we meet at my house tonight. For dinner. And we'll talk it over." Brooke offered a faint, lingering smile. "Why don't we find you a comfortable chair?" Chapter 9. The following morning, Barnaby Jones walked into the editorial offices of Brooke Latham's publication. The atmosphere was busy, with staff members rushing back and forth with papers and press proofs. Brooke was sitting at her main desk, signing a document. An assistant gestured toward Barnaby. "Oh, Miss Latham, this is Mr. Barnaby Jones." "I just have a few questions, Miss Latham," Barnaby said, taking off his hat politely. "I only have a minute," Brooke replied without looking up from her desk. "What can I do for you?" "I am a private investigator hired to look into the death of Mrs. Lawrence Kinner." "Yes, I read about her suicide," Brooke said casually. "There seems to be some question of that." "Why come to me?" Brooke asked, finally looking up at him. "Because it is probable that Mrs. Kinner had a visitor about the time she drowned. And I wanted to talk to everyone who knew her or her husband." "Well, I have never met Mrs. Kinner," Brooke said firmly. "And I have no connection with her husband. Unless you are referring to our public controversy." "I sure am." Barnaby smiled gently. "You know, I have been reading some of the topics of your television debates. And I am going to hand it to you. You really know a lot about your adversary." "Know thy enemy, Mr. Jones," Brooke quoted smoothly. I do a lot of research, but I assure you it is nothing personal. That is rare, Barnaby observed, scratching his chin. I have seen a lot of controversies in my time, and I have never seen one that was not personal. Well, for your information, Brooke said, leaning back in her chair, the controversy is an idealistic struggle between a woman freedom fighter and a corrupt, egomaniacal bigot. Well, I can see you are certainly not in love with him, Barnaby noted dryly. Love? Brooke laughed sharply. Who could love that male sexist pig? Possibly a female one, Barnaby suggested mildly. Have you any idea who that might be? Mrs. Jones, I am sorry, Brooke said, standing up to signal the end of the meeting. Lawrence Kinner's love life, if it is possible for a man like that to have one, is of no interest to me. Barnaby glanced at a framed photo on the wall depicting Lawrence, with a large graphic symbol overlaid across his face. Can you beat that? I think that says it all. Well, seems he was friendly enough to pose for you. That happened to be an existing photo, Brooke explained coolly. The chauvinist sign is superimposed. That is the best superimposition I ever saw, Barnaby remarked, stepping closer to inspect the frame. No tonal differences. No lines of demarcation. Mr. Jones, I have a magazine to get out, Brooke said, her voice dropping all pretense of politeness. I am very busy, if there is nothing else. Barnaby paused, his gaze shifting to her arm. I see you hurt your hand. Yeah, I sprained my wrist, Brooke said quickly, tucking her hand into her coat pocket. And you chipped a nail on your little finger, Barnaby added casually. Well, I sprained it, she insisted. Well, thank you very much, Barnaby said, turning toward the door. Oh, in case I ever need one, would you mind telling me the name of the doctor who made that cast for you? You would? Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Latham. Chapter 10. As soon as Barnaby left the office, Brooke picked up her desk phone and dialed Lawrence's private number. Larry, I am glad I caught you, Brooke said quickly into the receiver. I just had a visit with that investigator. Jones? Lawrence's voice came through the line. What did he want? He was trying to connect you with a woman. What did he have? Nothing, Brooke said, trying to reassure herself. He was just fishing. I do not like it, Lawrence snapped. Quit worrying about him, Brooke said firmly. There is somebody much more important. Chapter 11. Later that evening, Brooke arrived at Dr. Thomas Reston's cliffside residence. The home featured a dramatic glass living room overlooking a steep canyon edge. Tom was sitting on the couch, a glass of dark liquor in his hand. I brought you a fresh one, Brooke said smoothly, walking in and handing him a glass. Well, if you are trying to get me drunk, you do not need alcohol, Tom said, taking a sip and smiling faintly. Just having you here is enough. That is very sweet, Brooke replied gently, sitting beside him. Well, I am a very sweet guy, Tom said softly, reaching out to take her hand. It is true. I have never, ever stopped loving you. But now you are going to be mine, aren't you? If that is what you want, Brooke whispered. That is what I want, Tom said, staring into her eyes. More than anything.
Come here.
Brooke walked over to the floor-to-ceiling glass patio doors, looking out into the abyss of the canyon below. What do you see out there? Tom asked, standing up to join her. A lot of dark sky, Brooke said quietly. Some stars. There is a lot more, Tom murmured, putting his arms around her. A whole world for us. We're going to take a trip. Maybe Hawaii, Japan. Just you and me. Get to know each other again. Like it used to be. And you're going to forget all about Larry again. That is not going to be very hard, Brooke said, offering a small smile. I had better check dinner. Okay, Tom said, turning back toward the kitchen bar. As Brooke stepped toward the hallway, a door opened silently. Lawrence Kinner stepped out from the shadows, holding a heavy blunt object in his hand. He looked at Brooke, who nodded silently toward Tom's back. Did he hear me come in? Lawrence whispered. No, Brooke breathed.
Do it now. Now.
In case you need it. We have to make it look like it was an accident. Lawrence hesitated for a fraction of a second, his hands shaking slightly. No, look, I was just thinking. Larry, Brooke urged, her voice low and fiercely commanding. Now, Larry, believe me, it was the only way. Lawrence stepped forward swiftly. A violent scuffle erupted near the terrace railing, ending in a sudden, sickening sound as the heavy wooden barrier gave way, plunging the dark balcony into absolute stillness. Come on, Brooke hissed, grabbing Lawrence's coat and pulling him away from the ledge as they hurried out into the darkness. Chapter 12. Back at the agency office, Lee Merriweather was sitting at her desk, typing up case summaries. Barnaby was standing near the window, holding a hot mug of coffee. Are you still going over that information I gave you on Kinner? Lee asked, looking up from her papers. For the 5th time now, Barnaby replied, turning around. I will tell you something. There is nothing in here that tells me anything about who that other woman might be, if there is another woman. Did you find out anything about Brooke Latham?
Yeah, Lee nodded.
I checked her neighbors and ex-roommate. Believe it or not, I even checked her cleaning lady, but I will tell you, I think you are on the wrong track there, Mr. Jones. Well, I will tell you something about tracks, Barnaby said thoughtfully. Once you get on one, you've got to stay on it until you reach the end. Yes, but Brooke Latham and Larry Kinner? Lee questioned, shaking her head. I mean, her hate for him is pure eloquence. So I have heard, Barnaby mused. But there are a couple of things that bother me. That cast on her hand, and that chipped fingernail. You know, for somebody who is at war with men, she spends an awful lot of time fraternizing with the enemy. War makes strange bed pillows, Barnaby, Lee pointed out with a smile. Here is one that is not so strange, Barnaby said, tapping a file folder on the desk. Thomas Reston. Do you know him? Well, no, Lee said, scanning the document. But you say here that he was once engaged to Brooke Latham. And he is a doctor. The cast, Barnaby stated plainly. That is where she would go to get one. Why don't you call Dr. Reston, and if he is not in, find out his home number. All right, Lee agreed, picking up the telephone. Chapter 13. A short while later, Barnaby Jones arrived at the scene of Dr. Thomas Reston's cliffside residence. Police cars were parked outside with flashing lights. Barnaby walked out onto the broken terrace, where officers were examining the ruined railing. Well, it might have been an accident, an investigating officer remarked as Barnaby approached. It is clear he fell over the railing. It is clear he fell over the railing, all right, Barnaby agreed, leaning over to inspect the shattered wood. But whether or not it was an accident, that is something else. What are you saying? The officer asked. I am not sure, Barnaby replied, looking around the terrace. It seems to be the one thing a man would know about his own house, especially if it was perched on a cliff like this, is how far he can lean over his terrace rail. How about if the man had been drinking? The officer suggested. From the looks of things inside, Dr. Reston had had quite a few before he fell. Well, that could be the difference, Barnaby acknowledged. By the way, what was it you wanted to see him about? Putting a cast on a dog bite, Barnaby said simply. A cast on a dog bite? The officer blinked. Kind of crazy to me, too. Chapter 14. Barnaby traveled directly to Dr. Reston's private medical office. The reception area was quiet, and the receptionist, Ms. Nelson, sat behind the desk with red eyes, holding a tissue. Dr. Reston was. He was such a fine man, Ms. Nelson choked back a sob. Oh, I am sorry, Mr. Jones. That is all right, Barnaby said gently. I know how you must feel. You ever see this woman before? Barnaby held up a photo of Brooke Latham. No, Ms. Nelson said, looking closely at the picture. No, not that I can remember. I know she is not one of Dr. Reston's patients. Do you know if Dr. Reston treated anyone last Monday about midnight? Oh, the office closes at 6, she explained. But couldn't he have been called back on an emergency? Well, there is no record of it, Ms. Nelson replied, looking through the logbook. Wait, did you say Monday? Yes, Barnaby confirmed. I remember on Tuesday morning having to clean up one of the examining rooms, she recalled, her eyes lighting up with memory. Now, I know the room was clean when I left the night before, so Dr. Reston must have come back to treat someone. Do you happen to know what the treatment was? I believe he put on a cast, Ms. Nelson stated. The gauze was left out, and the plaster compound. Probably a break or a sprain. The patient must have had a skin puncture, too. Why do you say that? Well, because I remember that the tetanus vaccine was also left out, Ms. Nelson explained. Dr. Reston must have given the patient a shot. Thank you, Ms. Nelson, Barnaby said warmly. You have been a great help. Chapter 15. The following morning, Barnaby visited a local equestrian facility where Brooke Latham was known to ride. He found her stepping down from a horse near the stables. Good morning, Barnaby called out. Good morning, Mr. Jones, Brooke replied dryly, wiping her hands on her gloves. What are you doing here? Well, I went by your house, Barnaby explained. Your housekeeper said that you were out riding, said I might find you here.
What can I do for you this time?
Brooke asked impatiently. You know Dr. Thomas Reston? I should, Brooke replied smoothly. I was once engaged to him, but I am sure you have already learned that. What about him? He is dead, Barnaby said directly. Brooke's eyes flicked open slightly, but her face remained composed. How did it happen? Seems like he had a few drinks and fell off his terrace. Tragic, Brooke murmured smoothly. Why did you feel you had to bring me the news personally? You never did tell me who put the cast on your arm, Barnaby pointed out. That is right, I didn't, Brooke said calmly. Why is it so important? Dr. Reston made a cast for somebody on Monday night, Barnaby explained, watching her reactions carefully. Doctors do make casts. He also administered a tetanus shot.
Could have been for a dog bite.
You seem unsure, Brooke said coldly. I take it there was no record of a treatment? Not a jot or a whittle. Barnaby smiled gently. That is too bad, Brooke replied. That is the first thing we have agreed on, Barnaby noted, turning his attention to a nearby horse. Fine-looking animal. About 3 years old. Really? When you think about teeth, human or animal, they are kind of like fingerprints. No two sets alike. I have taken an impression of the Kinner dog's mouth. Just why are you telling me all this? Brooke demanded, her patience wearing thin. Well, I am hoping that you will show me what is under your cast so I do not have to bother you again, Barnaby said softly. I would be happy to. Brooke spat out sarcasm dripping from her voice. Of course. It could just be an infringement of personal rights. Depends on how you look at it. Mr. Jones, do you have a court order directing me to remove this cast? Can't say that I do, Barnaby admitted. Then perhaps we had better say goodbye, Brooke said, turning on her heel and walking away. Barnaby watched her go. From around the corner of the stable barn, a stable hand walked up. Could you hear? Barnaby asked softly. Yeah, the stable hand replied. He knows, and I am worried, Barnaby muttered to himself. Good morning, Barnaby said to the ranch hand as he walked closer. Hello, the ranch hand greeted. Did you just rent Miss Latham a horse? Sure did, the man confirmed. Was she alone? Nope, the stable hand shook his head. She had a man with her. Yeah, that is the fellow that rode out with her, he added, pointing toward a distant figure on horseback. Anything wrong? The stable hand asked. No, Barnaby replied, adjusting his hat. Thanks. Chapter 16. Later that day, Barnaby returned to the veterinary clinic with Lee Merriweather and Mrs. Tran, a clinic technician. They stood outside an isolation room where the Kinner dog was resting behind a glass barrier. Quick, turn on the water, Barnaby instructed as he observed the animal's frantic behavior. How did it happen? Lee asked, watching the dog pant heavily. Somebody didn't read this, Barnaby said, pointing to a file document. What is wrong? Lee asked, her eyes wide with concern. Well, it looks like we have got a sick dog here, Barnaby explained grimly. He is probably still grieving over Marjorie's death. No, it is more than that. Look at all this saliva around the muzzle here. You think it is distemper? Lee asked worriedly. Or rabies, Barnaby said sharply. I am taking him back to the vet.
My boy.
There you are, Mr. Jones. Thanks for your help, Mrs. Tran. I hope this works. I thought I had better tell you right away. Chapter 17. In a secluded estate house, Lawrence Kinner was pacing frantically across the floor while Brooke sat on the couch, holding her arm in visible distress. Larry! Oh, Larry! Brooke cried out, her face pale with terror. Take it easy, Lawrence said, grabbing her shoulders. I still cannot see how the dog could have been exposed to rabies. Fine. Now call the vet, Brooke demanded, her voice rising in panic. Lawrence rushed to the phone and dialed the clinic's emergency line. Yes, Mr. Kinner. The dog is here, the vet's voice answered over the speaker. Any diagnosis? Lawrence asked breathlessly. Well, the dog is under observation and then we're going to run some tests, the doctor replied. Look, can you do those tests now? Lawrence pleaded. Well, I do not understand the urgency, the vet said, sounding puzzled. Has the dog bitten anybody? Well, no, but... Lawrence stuttered. We will have some results for you in a day or two, the vet concluded smoothly. Yes, I will keep in touch. Thanks, Doc. Lawrence hung up the phone, his hands shaking violently. Thank you very much. If that dog is rabid, I've got to have treatment right away. There are going to be questions asked wherever you have it done, Brooke pointed out, her eyes wide with fear.
We have to think about this.
There is no time. Lawrence screamed. Larry, help me. Help me. We will go out of town, Lawrence decided hastily. Santa Barbara, maybe.
Great.
Chapter 18. An hour later, Lawrence and Brooke arrived at a small, private urgent care clinic on the outskirts of Santa Barbara. A doctor greeted them in a quiet examining room. Pax and Pinks, the doctor said, reviewing their entry paperwork. You say there is no chance in finding the dog that bit you? No. Brooke lied frantically. It happened while I was hiking. A stray mongrel. I am sure it didn't belong to anyone. I see, the doctor noted, looking at her arm. Why was a cast applied? I also sprained my wrist, Brooke claimed quickly. Why didn't you have your own doctor? Well, he was going to start, you see, Brooke stammered, but he was called out of town on emergency. Cannot you help me? Yeah, I would like to take a look at that wound, the doctor said, reaching for a pair of medical shears. You had better consult your doctor first. Is there a number where he can be reached? No, I told you, he is out of the country, Brooke insisted, her voice tight with tension. Oh, the doctor murmured, hesitating. Well, what about his office number? They must have your medical records on file. There isn't any file. Brooke blurted out, panic seizing her. I mean, I had better get this okayed, the doctor said firmly, standing up. Yeah, I will be right back. The doctor stepped out of the room, closing the door behind him. What did he say? Brooke whispered frantically to Lawrence. What is going on? This cast, they are asking questions. Brooke gasped, grabbing Lawrence's sleeve. All right, well, we had better go someplace else, Lawrence urged. No, they just asked the same questions. Brooke shouted softly. Here, you take this. You take it off. He won't help me. We will find somebody who will, Lawrence insisted, reaching for the door handle. Out in the hallway, the doctor was stopped by Barnaby Jones. Doctor, that patient who just came in.
Barnaby began.
Excuse me, the doctor interrupted. I am a private investigator, Barnaby said, showing his identification badge quickly. Where do you have that patient? First examining room on the left, the doctor answered, startled.
Why?
What is wrong? Call the police and clear the area, Barnaby ordered calmly but firmly. Now call that doctor. Hurry. Chapter 19. Barnaby stepped quietly into the examining room, closing the door behind him with a sharp click. Brooke and Lawrence spun around, caught completely off guard. Now, let us have a look at that wrist, Barnaby said smoothly, stepping toward Brooke. It was a trick. Brooke realized suddenly, her eyes wide with fury. That dog didn't have rabies. Not unless you gave them to him, Barnaby replied evenly. How did you find out? Lawrence demanded, stepping back toward the wall. The case is like a kaleidoscope, Mr. Kinner, Barnaby explained, keeping his eyes on both of them. You have to keep twisting until the pieces form a pattern. I had nothing to do with my wife's death, Lawrence claimed loudly. That may very well be, Barnaby acknowledged calmly, but what about Dr. Reston? I do not think he is in the hospital. I do not think he fell off of that terrace by himself. And I do not think she was strong enough to push him. Let us go. Drop it. Brooke suddenly shouted, pulling a small silver revolver from her purse and pointing it directly at Barnaby's chest. I've got a gun on your back, Jones. All right, Brooke, Barnaby said, raising his hand slowly. Let us go, Brooke commanded Lawrence. You won't make it, Barnaby warned them calmly. I will call the police. All right, Then you are coming with us, Brooke declared coldly. Let us go. Out to the parking lot. We're going for a drive. Now, open the door. Lawrence suddenly bolted out the side emergency exit by himself, leaving Brooke standing alone in the room with the gun still raised. Larry, wait. Brooke screamed out in disbelief. You cannot. She watched through the window as Lawrence scrambled across the parking lot toward his car, leaving her behind without a second thought.
Pig.
Brooke shrieked after him, her voice cracking with bitter tears. Cowardly pig. What do you expect from a male chauvinist? Barnaby remarked dryly, taking advantage of the distraction to disarm her gently and secure the weapon. Chapter 20. A few days later, the sun was shining brightly over the grounds of the Strand residence. Barnaby Jones walked across the lush lawn, holding the leash of Marjorie's faithful dog. Mr. Strand stepped out onto the porch to meet them, his eyes filled with gratitude. Thought I would bring Hans back to you, Barnaby said with a warm smile, handing over the leash. Did Larry confess? Mr. Strand asked softly, bending down to pat the dog's head. Yes, to everything, Barnaby nodded. How could he do it? Mr. Strand murmured, shaking his head in quiet disbelief. Mr. Strand, do you know how a Venus flytrap works? Barnaby asked gently, looking out over the garden. The victim is drawn in by sheer beauty and seductiveness. Your son-in-law was a very weak man. Well, thank you, Mr. Jones, Mr. Strand said, looking up with genuine appreciation. You've done a good job. Barnaby looked down at the dog, who wagged his tail happily against his leg. Couldn't have done it without Hans. We make a pretty good team. The television studio lights beamed down with an intense, unforgiving heat, illuminating the sharp features of Miss Brooke Latham as she sat across from Lawrence Kinner. The broadcast was in full swing, a fiery debate designed to captivate a nationwide audience. A talk show host turned to the stern woman and asked if she truly believed that Lawrence Kinner's reputation as the greatest living novelist in the country was deplorable. Brooke Latham did not hesitate. She replied that his reputation was merely laughable, adding that the fact he was still living was what she found deplorable. She went on to call him a charlatan who masked a third-rate talent under a cloak of male chauvinism. She remarked that if he spent as much time writing as he did talking, the public would at least be spared the agony of having to look at him. The host then turned to Lawrence Kinner, asking how he felt about such a scathing statement. Lawrence Kinner offered a thin, patronizing smile. He expressed only pity for someone whom he described as suffering from a mental diaper rash while groping around for a misplaced sexual identity. Brooke Latham fired back immediately, saying that at least she knew her own identity, whereas he was simply the king of the clearance racks, the poor man's Hemingway. The host intervened, noting that Lawrence Kinner had spent the last 6 months working on his latest novel. Brooke scoffed, saying he had only gotten as far as the title. She then addressed him directly, asking when the public would finally be able to read the finished book. Lawrence replied coolly that they would read it as soon as they acquired the facility to do so. Brooke insisted that if he would stop maligning women and acknowledge them as his equals, he might actually regain his popularity. Lawrence dismissed her point, stating that his reputation was based on amnesty and that he could not possibly espouse such a ludicrous concept as equality between the sexes. Brooke lowered her voice, sharpening her attack. She pointed out that he was not above living off a woman, reminding him that if it had not been for his wife, he would have starved to death years ago. She added that it had been 10 years since he had been anywhere near the bestseller list. After the broadcast concluded, the atmosphere shifted immediately. Away from the flashing cameras, Brooke gathered her papers. She apologized softly, saying she simply could not stand to hear him run down like that. She mentioned that she had to get her stuff together and leave because she would be late for her lecture. Lawrence walked up to her with a warm look. He remarked that her last remarks were really below the belt, particularly the part about him living off her, even if it contained truth. Brooke looked at him affectionately. She reminded him that they were husband and wife in secret emotional truth, that nothing between them was divisible, and that everything she owned belonged to him, including all of her love. They exchanged quick words of devotion. Lawrence asked if she had seen how convincing the show was, remarking that he was beginning to believe they truly hated each other. He laughed about what a shock the public would receive when they finally got married. Brooke asked how long it would take. Lawrence expressed uncertainty, prompting Brooke to question his timing after all their meticulous planning. Lawrence explained that the timing had to be perfect because he would be too suspect if anything went wrong. Brooke confessed her deep love for him, saying she could not wait much longer, and Lawrence promised she would not have to wait long. Shortly after, Brooke received a telephone call. When asked who it was, she explained it was Draper, playing the editor in distress and demanding her manuscript. She stated she would see him and return before midnight. Lawrence promised to wait up and answer some letters. Later that evening, at a secluded residence near a steep cliff, a woman named Catherine stood startled in the dim light. A shadow stepped forward. Catherine asked who was there, wondering if it was Brooke Latham. The intruder did not answer with words, but moved with sudden violence. Panic erupted. Catherine cried out in horror as she was forced toward the edge of the swimming pool, struggling desperately until she fell into the dark water. Following the tragic event, the police authorities tentatively ruled the death of Marjorie Strand Kinner as either a suicide or an accident. However, her father, Mr. Strand, refused to accept either explanation. He brought his concerns to Mr. Barnaby Jones, a seasoned private investigator. Mr. Strand explained that Marjorie had a deathly fear of water after almost drowning as a child. It seemed impossible to him that she would voluntarily go near the pool, which had been installed solely for her husband's pleasure. Barnaby Jones listened intently, acknowledging that such a severe phobia made both accident and suicide highly improbable. When asked if anyone could have wanted to harm Marjorie, Mr. Strand admitted she had no known enemies and never fought with her husband. However, he noted that Lawrence Kinner had become increasingly erratic as his writing career went downhill over the past 10 years. Furthermore, Marjorie was quite wealthy in her own right, and that fortune would now pass entirely to Lawrence. Barnaby Jones visited the Kinner estate to inspect the scene. While examining the grounds near the fence, he discovered a torn piece of a leather glove bearing visible teeth marks. It appeared as though a dog had bitten into it. Barnaby recalled that Marjorie's dog had been loose on the terrace on the night of the incident and had jumped over the high gate in an unusually agitated state. Upon inspecting the dog, Barnaby noticed a lump behind its left ear, indicating it had been struck by a blunt object. Lawrence Kinner appeared, acting sorrowful and claiming he had not left his room since the funeral. When Barnaby mentioned the piece of glove and suggested an intruder might have been bitten while escaping over the fence, Lawrence grew uneasy and denied that anyone had broken in. Barnaby kept a piece of evidence he found inside the glove fragment, a piece of a broken fingernail painted bright red. Meanwhile, Brooke Latham met secretly with Lawrence Kinner. She questioned why he had not mentioned the private investigator hired by his father-in-law. Lawrence warned her that the investigator suspected murder and believed someone had broken into the house and been bitten by the dog. He noticed Brooke hiding her arm and demanded to see it. Brooke tried to brush it off as a tennis injury, but Lawrence forcibly grabbed her arm, revealing a plaster cast. Recognizing that the cast was covering dog bite marks, he pressed her until Brooke broke down and confessed. She admitted that she had killed Marjorie because that was what they both had wanted, believing that Lawrence lacked the resolve to do it himself. She embraced him, declaring that no one stood in their way anymore. However, Brooke's actions had left a trail. Dr. Thomas Reston, a physician who was once engaged to Brooke, confronted her at her home. Dr. Reston had recognized Lawrence Kinner from media appearances and put the pieces together. He remembered treating Brooke late on Monday night, applying a plaster cast over severe bite marks, and administering a tetanus vaccine without creating an official record. Dr. Reston confronted Brooke, accusing her of using him as an unwitting accomplice to cover up a murder. He demanded that she meet him at his hillside house that evening for dinner to talk things over. When Barnaby Jones investigated Dr. Reston, he learned from the doctor's nurse that late Monday night, someone had been treated for a puncture wound and given a tetanus shot alongside a cast. Barnaby went to Dr. Reston's home to question him, only to find police officers already at the scene. Dr. Reston had tragically fallen over his terrace railing to his death on the sharp rocks below. Barnaby examined the scene carefully. Although the police assumed it was an accidental fall fueled by alcohol, Barnaby suspected foul play. He knew Dr. Reston was the key link to the person wearing the plaster cast. Barnaby tracked down Brooke Latham at an equestrian stable where she was riding. He confronted her with the news of Dr. Reston's death. Brooke maintained a cold demeanor, claiming it was a tragic accident. Barnaby then casually mentioned that he had taken an impression of the Kinner dog's teeth and noted that human bite marks were as unique as fingerprints. He asked if she would show him what was beneath her plaster cast. Brooke refused, pointing out that Barnaby lacked a court order. She quickly departed with Lawrence Kinner, who was waiting nearby. Knowing that time was running out, Barnaby devised a clever ruse. He arranged for Marjorie's dog to be brought to a local veterinary clinic, spreading a false rumor that the animal was exhibiting symptoms of rabies. When Lawrence learned that the dog that bit Brooke might be rabid, panic set in. If the dog had rabies, Brooke required immediate medical treatment, or the disease would be fatal. Driven by desperation, Lawrence and Brooke drove out of town to a remote clinic in Santa Barbara to seek treatment secretly without answering questions from local authorities. At the clinic, Brooke frantically demanded the anti-rabies serum from the attending physician. When the doctor asked for her medical records and questioned why her wrist was in a cast, Brooke lost her composure. She demanded that Lawrence remove the cast himself right there in the room. Barnaby Jones stepped into the examining room, accompanied by the police. He revealed that the rabies story was a trap and that the dog was completely healthy. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Lawrence realized they were caught. In a last desperate act, Lawrence drew a hidden handgun, intending to force Barnaby to let them escape to the parking lot. Brooke looked at Lawrence with sudden disdain, calling him a coward and a pig for hiding behind a weapon and attempting to drag her down further. Barnaby remained calm and collected. Before Lawrence could make a move, the surrounding police officers disarmed him and took both Lawrence Kinner and Brooke Latham into custody. Sometime later, Barnaby Jones returned the faithful dog to Mr. Strand. Mr. Strand expressed his profound gratitude, asking how Lawrence could have committed such terrible deeds. Barnaby explained that Lawrence was a weak man lured into a deadly trap, much like an insect drawn into a Venus flytrap by superficial beauty. Mr. Strand thanked Barnaby for bringing justice to his daughter's memory. Barnaby smiled softly, patting the dog at his side, noting that they had made a very good team.